She gave CPR to a dying stranger and had no idea she was saving the most feared Korean mafia boss in the city. Naomi Brooks had no idea that the man dying in her arms was one of the most feared names in the Korean underworld. All she saw was a stranger collapsing on the pavement outside the diner. Breath gone, body limp, pulse fading like a dying whisper. And all she felt was instinct. The same instinct that had carried her through every storm in her life. The same instinct that would change everything. It was 11:57 p.m., the end of another double shift. Wind sharp, pavement slick, neon signs buzzing like tired insects. Naomi stepped out the back door, tying her braids into a messy knot, ready to walk home. That's when she heard it, a heavy, staggering thud. She turned. A man in a black coat lay on the street, one hand gripping his chest, breath rattling. His face was turned away, but his body shook like he was trying to fight death with pure will. "Hey!" she shouted, rushing over. "Hey, can you hear me?" No response. His lips were blue. Her heart kicked into emergency mode. "Somebody call 911, she yelled to the empty street. Nobody answered. Of course nobody answered. This neighborhood always disappeared when trouble touched the sidewalk. Naomi pressed her ear to his chest. Nothing. Just thunder in the distance, and a heartbeat that had forgotten its job. Fear tried to climb up her throat. She swallowed it and started CPR. Her palms met his chest, pressing hard, fast, steady. 1, 2, 3. "Don't you die on me," she muttered. "Not tonight. Not like this." Her voice echoed through the alley. She didn't know who he was. She didn't care. She refused to let him die. After what felt like a lifetime, his body jolted, violently, like something inside refused to give up. He gasped, grabbing her wrist with surprising strength. His eyes snapped open, sharp, black, terrifying. For one heartbeat, Naomi froze. Not because he looked dangerous, because he looked hurt. "Breathe," she whispered, placing her hand gently on his shoulder. "Slow. You're okay. You're alive." He blinked rapidly, disoriented, breath shallow. "What? What did you do?" he asked, voice low, accented, cracked. "I revived you," she said, still breathless. "You collapsed." He stared at her like she was a hallucination, a black waitress in a faded diner uniform, her hand steady on his chest, her eyes warm, her voice soft but unshakable. Nobody had ever spoken to him like that. Nobody touched him without fear, and something about her presence felt unnatural, unfamiliar, unreasonably safe. Before she could ask more, a black SUV screeched to a stop on the other side of the street. 3 men in suits stepped out, panic flashing across their faces. "Boss! Boss!" Naomi blinked. "Boss of what?" 2 men rushed to the stranger's side, bowing slightly before helping him sit upright. "Sir, we lost sight of you for 2 minutes. Are you hurt? Who did this? Did someone attack?" "Nobody attacked him," Naomi snapped. "The man had a cardiac event." All 3 men froze at her tone. She wasn't yelling. She wasn't scared. She was correcting. The stranger looked at her again, slowly, carefully, almost reverently. "She saved me," he said quietly. The men turned to her like she'd just returned a stolen crown. Naomi stepped back. "Whoa, I'm not a doctor. I just did CPR, and you need a hospital, not whatever." "Boss's situation this is." One of the men opened his mouth to retaliate, but the stranger lifted a hand. "Enough," he commanded, voice steady again. "She's right." His authority was so heavy the street itself seemed to fall in line. But when he looked at Naomi, it softened. "What's your name?" he asked. "Naomi." He repeated it like it was a foreign language. "Naomi," he murmured, "I owe you my life." She tried to brush it off. "You owe me nothing. Just don't die again." A ghost of a smile touched his lips, a mafia boss smiling. At her. This night was already insane. They helped him stand, but Naomi could see the tremble in his hands. "Did you have a heart attack?" she asked. He shook his head slowly. "Stress," he admitted. "A day of too many decisions." She raised an eyebrow. "And skipping meals, I bet." He blinked. "How did you—" "You look like someone who works until he passes out," she said. "It's written all over your face." His men exchanged glances, as if she was reading scripture nobody else dared to read. He looked down. I haven't eaten, he said softly. She exhaled sharply. Sit. Down. The three bodyguards stiffened, but the stranger obeyed her instantly, lowering himself onto the sidewalk like she was the only authority that mattered. The men stared in disbelief. Naomi sighed and dug into her bag, pulling out the one thing she always carried home after a long shift, a simple sandwich wrapped in foil. She handed it to him. Eat. He hesitated like no one had ever given him something without a hidden motive. He peeled the foil back. Why? Why are you helping me? Because you were dying 5 minutes ago, she said, and because you look like someone who doesn't hear kindness very often. His throat tightened. He didn't answer. His men finally stepped closer. Sir, we need to return. We have unfinished business with the Cho faction. Cancel it, he said. The men froze. Sir, are you sure? He looked at Naomi again, her tired eyes, her shaking hands, her kindness, her courage. I said cancel it, he repeated. The men bowed immediately. Naomi frowned. What faction? The stranger answered before they could. Nothing you need to worry about. Yeah, that sounds like exactly something I should worry about. He actually laughed, a small, surprised laugh, like he was relearning the sound. You saved my life, he said quietly. You shouldn't have to save it again tonight. She crossed her arms. You need a hospital. He stood. I'll be fine. You don't look fine. He took a step closer, lowering his voice. Do you trust me? No, she admitted. I barely know you. His lips curved faintly. Good. You shouldn't. He touched his chest lightly. But I trust you. The words hit her harder than they should have. Why? Because when I woke up, he whispered, your voice was the first thing I heard. Her breath caught. He turned to his men. Take her home safely. What? No, I can walk, she protested. You saved me, he said simply. Let me return one small favor. And what about you? He held her gaze. I'll see you again. He didn't say how. He didn't say when. He didn't even ask her address. But somehow, she believed him. Naomi watched as they guided him inside the SUV, doors shutting with cold precision. The engine roared. The window rolled down, just enough for her to see his eyes. Dark, calm, changed. Naomi, he said softly. Thank you. Then the car disappeared into the night, leaving her standing on the sidewalk with a racing heart and one terrifying question. Who the hell had she just saved? The men in the SUV waited for him to explode. That's what usually came after a near-death experience in Seo Junho's world. Rage, orders, punishments, blood. Tonight there was only silence. He sat in the back seat with his eyes closed, feeling the ghost of her hands on his chest. The press, the rhythm, the way her voice had cut through the dark. Breathe. You're okay. You're alive. He'd heard screams, threats, pleas. No one had ever spoken to him like that. Not like a boss, not like a threat, just like a man. Boss, Minho, his right hand, said quietly from the front, we should take you to the hospital. With your family history? I said home, Junho replied. Yes, but Minho. The way he said his name made the rest of the sentence die on his tongue. The car fell back into obedience. He opened his eyes and watched the city lights smear past. One wrong decision, one skipped meal, one unchecked stress spike, and he'd almost left his empire without a king. And the only reason he still breathed was a waitress in a $10 apron. Find everything about her, he said quietly. Minho glanced at him in the rearview mirror. Sir? The woman from the diner, Naomi, he said. Full name, family, where she lives, where she works, who bothers her. Every detail. Yes, boss. He leaned his head back again. He'd built his name on the rule. Never owe anyone. Tonight he had a debt he couldn't quantify, and he'd be damned if the universe thought it could take her away from him before he repaid it. Naomi's legs didn't stop shaking until she reached her apartment. Even then, the image stayed burned behind her eyelids. A man's chest not moving, her hands pressing down, his eyes opening like he'd just been dragged back from somewhere far. Who collapses in front of a diner at midnight with a squad of men calling him boss? Who commands fear from everyone except her? She dropped onto her couch, uniform still on, name tag crooked. Her phone buzzed. A text from Darius. You good? I heard sirens down the block. She typed back. Fine. Just save some idiot's life. 3 dots. Then, damn. That's my sister. She tossed the phone aside and stared at the ceiling. His face wouldn't leave her alone. The scar near his brow, the tiredness in his eyes, the way he looked at the sandwich like it was the first time anyone had handed him something without expecting him to pay in blood. He'd said he'd see her again. Men like that said a lot of things. But something in his eyes had felt like a promise. She hated that a part of her. Wanted him to keep it. He watched her the next day. Not in person, on a screen. In the dim light of his office, Seo Jun-ho stood in front of a wall of monitors, one of them showing grainy street camera footage from outside the diner. There, Minho said, pointing. That's her. She stepped out of the back door, hair tied up, apron strings swinging, saying something to the cook over her shoulder. The kind of ordinary moment his world didn't have. She wiped down an outdoor table, picked up a stray cup, laughed at something a coworker said, flicked a piece of ice at a busboy. Then the footage cut to last night, her kneeling over him, hands steady, face set. He watched every second, every compress, every word her lips formed. Minho shifted uncomfortably. Sir, do you want me to pull this off the server after? He asked. For privacy? Jun-ho didn't look away from the screen. No. It wasn't surveillance anymore. It was the record of the moment his timeline forked. He dragged his gaze away with effort. Her file, he said. Minho handed him a folder. Name's Naomi Patrice Brooks, 26, lives with her younger brother. Mom's a nurse doing night shifts uptown. Father's gone. No debts that matter. Brother had some trouble last year with local dealers, but it looks like... He flipped a page, frowned. Someone scared them off. No one touched them again. Jun-ho knew why. He just hadn't known her name then. She works doubles almost every week, Minho continued. Tips, minimum wage, no record, no protected connections, nobody important on paper. Nobody important. The words splintered something in him. From now on, he said, voice low. She is. Minho swallowed. Understood. I want a car trailing her home every night. Quiet. She doesn't see it. It doesn't exist. Anyone harasses her? They disappear. Her name doesn't get spoken in rooms I sit in. Clear? Yes, boss. He closed the file. Naomi Brooks, the woman who literally restarted his heart. He wondered if she knew she'd restarted something else. Naomi noticed the car on the third night. It was always there when she closed up, parked across the street or a few spots down. Tinted windows, engine low. Too clean for this neighborhood. The first time she thought coincidence. The second time she thought anxiety. The third time she walked straight up to it. Her coworker Lila hissed behind her, Naomi, what are you doing? Ending whatever weird security drama this is, she muttered back. She tapped the window. Nothing. She tapped again, harder. I know you're in there. This is not Fast and Furious. Roll it down. The window slid down smoothly. Minho stared at her over the edge, expression neutral. Yes. You again, she said, recognizing him from that night, even if she'd only seen him in adrenaline-blurred flashes. You're with him, right? No point pretending. He nodded once. I am. Okay, she said, breath fogging in the cool air. So tell your boss I appreciate the whole mysterious escort thing, but I don't need it. It's not negotiable. Her eyebrows shot up. Excuse me? My orders are to make sure you get home safe, Minho said calmly. I intend to follow them. Your orders, she repeated slowly. What am I? Take out. A muscle twitched in his cheek. He wasn't used to being spoken to like this. Miss Brooks. Naomi. Naomi, he corrected stiffly. Boss is grateful, that's all. She huffed. Tell your boss he can be grateful by not sending strange black cars to stalk me home. This is how Netflix documentaries start. She turned away. Naomi, Minho said. She glanced back. He would be displeased if anything happened to you, he said carefully. Don't make me fail at his first order since that night. Something in his voice was almost human. She sighed. I walk, she said. You follow behind. No pulling up next to me like I'm some VIP politician. And if anyone asks, you're my cousin from out of town, got it? Minho blinked once. Yes. Good, she said. Let's go, cousin. She started walking. The car rolled slowly behind, engine a low purr. She shook her head to herself. What kind of man collapses on the street and ends up assigning surveillance like it's nothing? She muttered. Deep in the front seat, Minho almost smiled. The only kind he knows how to be, he thought. He didn't go to the diner for 3 days. Not because he didn't want to, because wanting was the problem. He'd survived in this business by cutting out desire. Desire was weakness. Desire clouded judgment. Desire got you killed. He told himself watching her on a monitor was enough. It wasn't. On the 4th day, he walked in. It was just after the lunch rush, the diner humming with the quiet clatter of plates and low conversation. Naomi rushed between tables, balancing 3 plates on one arm, laughing at something a regular said. The bell above the door chimed. She didn't look up at first. "Take any open booth. I'll be right with you," she called over her shoulder. He stepped inside. The room changed. Conversations dipped. The old man at the corner table went quiet. The fry cook in the open kitchen stiffened. 2 teenagers near the window whispered, eyes widening. Fear traveled ahead of his reputation. He ignored it. He chose a booth in the back corner and sat back to the wall, view of everything. Naomi finished delivering plates, wiped her hands on her apron, grabbed a notepad and spun toward the new arrival. "Hi, welcome to..." She stopped. He watched the recognition ripple over her face. Slow, incredulous, irritated, curious. "You," she said. "Me," he agreed. She marched up to the booth. "Is there a particular reason the man who told me I'll see you again decided to drop that prophecy in my workplace without warning?" "Is that a problem?" he asked. "Yes," she said. "There's a dress code for customers. You need at least 3 fewer murder aura points to sit here." His lip twitched. "Can I stay anyway?" She exhaled, pinching the bridge of her nose. "You here to eat or to scare my tips away?" "To eat," he said. "And to see you." Her pulse did something embarrassing. She recovered quickly. "Fine. What can I get you?" He looked at the menu, then looked at her. "What do you recommend?" "Depend," she said. "You want actual food or you want diner food that pretends to be food?" "Whatever you like," he replied. "Dangerous answer," she muttered, jotting something down. "I'll bring you something that won't kill you. You're welcome." As she walked away, Lila grabbed her arm near the server station. "Naomi," she hissed, eyes huge. "What is he doing here?" "What? You know him," Naomi whispered back. Lila glanced at the booth like it might explode. "Everybody around here knows him," she said. "You really don't?" "No," Naomi said slowly. "Should I?" Lila swallowed. "That's Seo Jun-ho," she breathed. "The Korean guy they say runs half this city from shadows. People disappear when they owe him. Some people say he's cleaned up the streets. Some say he buried them." Naomi's stomach dipped. Her mind flashed back to the alley with her brother. The cold authority in the stranger's voice. The fear in the dealer's eyes. Pieces clicked. Her hand tightened on the tray. "You okay?" Lila asked. Naomi forced a breath. "He's also the man who almost died on the road last week," she said, "and he bleeds red like everybody else. I'll be fine." She turned back to his table, heart pounding. She set the plate down in front of him. "Chicken, rice, veggies," she said. "Low salt, high flavor. My don't let the stressed out stranger die again special." He looked at the food, then at her. "You heard who I am," he said quietly. She held his gaze. "Yeah." "Do you still want to stand here?" he asked. "Or will you run?" He didn't say it like a test. He said it like a man ready to accept the answer either way. Naomi shrugged. "I already saw you at your worst," she said. "Face blue, no heartbeat, zero composure. The scary Mafia edit doesn't hit as hard anymore." He stared at her. Then he did something that shook the entire diner. He laughed. Not a small chuckle. A real laugh. Deep, surprised, tearing something open in his chest. The cook peeked out from the kitchen. The teens by the window stopped mid-fry. Lila dropped a spoon. Nobody had ever heard that sound out of him before. Naomi smiled despite herself. "You should do that more," she said. "What?" "Laugh," she replied. "It makes you look less like a walking crime documentary." He sobered a bit. "Naomi." The way he said her name made her fingers tingle. "I am not a good man," he said. "Whatever you've heard, some of it's true. I've done things I'm not proud of. Things that would make you walk away." She folded her arms. "Have you hurt people?" "Yes." "Have you hurt people who didn't deserve it?" Silence. His jaw flexed. Her chest tightened. "Well," she said quietly, "have you also kept worse men from hurting people like me?" He blinked. "Sometimes," he admitted. Then maybe the world isn't as simple as good and bad, she said. Maybe some people are just complicated. She leaned in slightly. But you know what I do know for sure? What? You didn't have to stop when you collapsed. You didn't have to let me see you weak. You didn't have to send that car every night. You didn't have to sit in my section. You chose all of that. Her voice dropped. That choice is the only part I'm paying attention to right now. He swallowed. No one had ever cared about his choices, only his results. He ate, slow, almost reverent. This is good, he said. I know, she replied. You're talented. You're surprised? At how much I like sitting here, he said. The words hung between them. Naomi felt something shift. Subtle, dangerous. The door chimed again. More customers walked in. She straightened. I have to work, she said. I know, he replied. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a card, but placed it face down on the table. When your shift ends, he murmured, if you ever need anything, call. She eyed the card like it was a loaded gun. I don't take favors from dangerous men, she said. This isn't a favor, he replied. It's insurance. For who? For my heart, he almost said. Instead, for you. She shook her head. I'm not a problem you need to fix, Junho. He looked at her like she didn't understand something crucial. You already fixed something in me, he whispered. The night you refused to let me die. Her breath caught. I didn't fix you, she said. I just reminded your heart what it was supposed to do. He held her gaze. It's still learning, he said. And in that moment, Naomi understood one terrifying truth. She hadn't just saved a stranger on the sidewalk. She'd woken up a man who'd long ago decided he didn't need saving, and now the most dangerous heart in the city had started beating for her. Naomi didn't realize how deep she'd stepped into his world, until his world started stepping toward hers. It began quietly, like the shift in air before a storm. A man who usually walked with shadows now walked with purpose. If anyone had been watching closely, they would have seen it. The Korean Mafia boss, who never lingered in one place, kept coming back to the same diner corner booth. Again and again and again. Always at odd hours. Always sitting with the same calm tension of someone dangerous trying not to scare someone precious. Sometimes he ordered tea. Sometimes food. Sometimes nothing at all. Sometimes Naomi caught him simply watching her. Not possessively, not greedily, but like he was memorizing her existence. It was unnerving. It was overwhelming. It was flattering. It was everything she didn't know how to handle. The car cousin routine lasted a week, until she caught two men watching her from across the street while she clocked out. She casually slipped back into the diner and whispered to Lila, "There are two guys outside staring at me like they know my blood type." Lila peeked, then froze. "That's not local trouble," she whispered. "That's imported." Naomi felt a chill crawl up her spine. She texted Minho. No response. She stepped outside anyway. Naomi was fearless in ways she didn't understand. The two men didn't approach. They just stood there, silent, waiting, evaluating. She took a single step forward. A black car screeched to the curb so violently the tires screamed. The back door swung open. Seo Jun-ho stepped out. Not cold, not calm, furious. The street itself seemed to recoil from the change in temperature. He walked straight toward the two men, each step like a blade cutting through the pavement. "What are you doing here?" he asked, voice low and rough. One man bowed nervously. "We heard rumors, boss. Someone new is following your steps." You were watching her," he cut in. The men stiffened. "We were protecting you." "No," he said, jaw clenching so hard a vein pulsed in his temple. "When you watch her, you put a target on her back. Anyone tailing me will assume she matters." Naomi felt the breath knock out of her chest. Not matters casually, matters dangerously. She stepped forward. "Jun-ho." He turned to her. His eyes softened instantly, melting from steel to something vulnerable. "You should have called me," he said quietly. "I'm not used to calling Mafia bosses for escort duty," she muttered. A ghost of a smile flickered. "Naomi," he said softly, "you saved my life. That means the rules are different for you." The two men bowed again, profusely apologizing. He dismissed them with a sharp flick of his hand. Then he looked at her. "Let me walk you home." It wasn't a question, but it wasn't an order either. It was a plea wrapped in pride. She sighed. Fine. They walked side by side under dim streetlights, the distance between them slowly shrinking with each step. How did you know they were watching me? She asked. I know everything that happens within 6 blocks of you. She stumbled. You? What? You don't have to be afraid, he said. Not while I'm alive. Her heart slammed against her ribs. That's not the comforting sentence you think it is, she whispered. He looked genuinely confused. How is that not comforting? You say it like people try to kill you every Tuesday. They have, he said simply. She stared. You're serious? Yes. Why? He met her eyes. Because I made myself powerful enough to protect others. But power comes with enemies. She exhaled slowly. So getting close to you is dangerous. Yes, he said. Then, but for me, getting close to you is even more dangerous. Her breath caught. What does that mean? He didn't answer, and somehow that meant everything. When they reached her door, Naomi leaned against the frame. You don't have to stay, she said. He looked down at her. I do. You don't. I do, he repeated, softer this time. Why? She whispered. He hesitated. Because when I died, your voice brought me back. Because I haven't felt this calm in years. Because I'm terrified someone else will get your smile before I do. Because you're the only place my mind goes when I close my eyes. Instead, he said, because the thought of anything happening to you doesn't let me sleep. Her chest tightened painfully. Jun-ho. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. Tell me to leave, he murmured. Tell me you don't want me near your life, and I will walk away. Her eyes widened. He meant it. Every word. The Mafia boss who controlled entire blocks with a single command was begging her for permission to stay. I'm not telling you to leave, she whispered. Something bright flickered in his eyes. Good, he said. Then he added softly, sleep well, Naomi. She closed the door gently, her back sliding down it, breath shaky. From the other side, she heard his footsteps retreat slowly, like he didn't want to leave but forced himself to. His men noticed first, the way he showed up earlier to headquarters, the way he snapped less, the way he read reports with a quiet, distracted calm, the way he shut down business meetings early for personal obligations. Minho, who had seen him through blood and battle, whispered to another lieutenant, he's different. Different how? He looks alive. But not everyone like that. There were old men in high places who believed the boss should be cold, ruthless, predictable. A man who loves is a man with a weakness. Rumors spread, whispers grew. Eyes followed him. But Seo Jun-ho didn't care. He stopped checking cameras when Naomi worked late. He started checking her. Stopped eating alone. Started showing up at the diner for whatever she recommended that day. Stopped letting fear dictate his life. Started letting her presence steady him. He even asked her what music she liked. Nobody had ever heard the boss ask anyone about music. Naomi didn't know the full impact of her CPR, but his world did. She hadn't just saved him from death. She'd resurrected a part of him that had been buried long before his heart stopped. She found out by accident. One slow late-night shift, Naomi stepped outside the diner to take out trash. She spotted someone standing by the corner, smoking and watching the street. At first glance, she thought nothing of it. Then the man turned his head slightly. Cold eyes, hard jaw, foreign ink along his neck. Not one of Jun-ho's men. This one was hungry in a different way. Her chest tightened. The man flicked the cigarette, stepped toward her, and then stopped. Frozen. Standing behind Naomi was Seo Jun-ho. He wasn't yelling. He wasn't threatening. He was simply there. Silent, deadly, unmoving. The air turned icy. The stranger backed away slowly, then fled. Naomi turned. What the hell was that? His jaw was tight, eyes dark with a storm. You noticed him, he said. Of course I noticed him. You were supposed to go inside. I was supposed to what? Ignore a man creeping at me? He stepped closer. Naomi, he wasn't creeping, he said quietly. He was tracking me, and he saw you. That makes you leverage. Her mouth went dry. And now? And now, he said, voice low, he won't come near you again. She stared at him, at how close he was, at how tense, at how terrified he'd been beneath the stone exterior. You came because you were watching me, she whispered. Always, he said before he could stop himself. Her breath caught. You can't be everywhere, Junho. I can be where you are. Her heart thudded. This is insane, she whispered. Yes, he said. I know. And dangerous. Yes. And stupid. Yes. So why do you keep doing it? His answer was simple, quiet, unavoidable. Because the night I died, the only thing I saw was you. She froze. He froze. Neither breathed. He stepped back like he'd revealed too much. I should go, he said, voice rough. Wait, she said, grabbing his wrist before she realized what she was doing. He stopped instantly, looked at her hand, then at her. Her fingers trembled, but she didn't let go. Don't go, she whispered. His chest rose sharply. Slowly, painfully slowly, he turned back toward her. Naomi, he murmured, I don't know how to be gentle with my feelings. Then learn, she whispered. He exhaled like the world had been punched out of him. But he didn't leave. And in that moment, something irreversible shifted between them. He feared nothing in the world, except the possibility of losing her. The first time Naomi realized she was truly in danger was the night everything almost ended. It was a Wednesday, a nothing special, slow shift Wednesday, the kind of night that should have passed quietly. Naomi was closing up the diner alone because Lila had gone home early. She was wiping down the counter, humming without thinking, replaying the way Seo Junho's voice had sounded when he whispered, because the night I died, the only thing I saw was you. Her stomach fluttered in embarrassing ways. She didn't want to like that sentence as much as she did. She didn't want to enjoy the way he said her name. She didn't want to crave the way he watched her like she was the safest and most dangerous thing in his life. But she did. God, she did. She turned off the diner lights and stepped outside. Straight into a man's chest. She jerked back. The man didn't. He towered over her. Cologne sharp. Eyes dead. A clean suit, but cheap shoes. A contradiction she immediately recognized. Not one of Junho's men, not a civilian. Something in between. Something worse. Naomi Brooks? He asked casually. Her stomach dropped. Who's asking? He smiled without warmth. Someone who needs you to come with us. Us. A second man stepped out from behind a car. A third appeared from the alley. 3 against 1. Naomi stepped back slowly. My boyfriend is inside, she lied. He'll be out any second. The first man snorted. You don't have a boyfriend, she swallowed. Okay. They'd been watching her. Before she could react, he grabbed her wrist. His grip was cold. Final. She tried to yank away. He tightened. You're coming. Let me go. No. Panic flared in her chest. Help, she screamed. The night swallowed her voice. He dragged her toward the car. She kicked, twisted, fought, hit him with everything she had. But he was stronger. They shoved her into the back seat. The door slammed shut. Her heart hammered. Wow, what do you want? She breathed. You saved the wrong man, the second guy said. And then she understood. They weren't after her. They were after him, and she was the easiest weapon to use. The car started. The men didn't make it 5 feet. A black sedan slammed into the side of their vehicle so hard the metal screamed. Naomi was thrown sideways, but the door was kicked open before her mind could catch up. He stood there, Seo Junho, breathing hard, face carved from ice, eyes full of a rage so cold the night recoiled from it. He pulled her out of the car with one arm, shielding her with his whole body like she was something rare and fragile. Are you hurt? He asked, voice low. She shook her head, breath trembling. No, I'm okay. I'm okay. He touched her cheek gently, like he needed to confirm she was real. 2 seconds later, the gentleness vanished. He turned toward the men, and Naomi saw something she'd only imagined, the full fury of a man who had ruled a city's shadows for a decade. You touched her, he said. Nobody moved. You touched her, he repeated slowly, and thought you'd leave this place alive. The men tried to run. Tried. His men, dozens she didn't even know were near, swarmed in from the dark. Quick, clean, efficient. And through it all, he kept one hand on Naomi's waist. One touch, one anchor. Like letting go would break something in him. The street fell quiet. Bodies on the ground. Engines humming. His breath shaking with adrenaline. And Naomi, still in shock, looked up at him. You came, she whispered. He turned toward her. His voice was raw. I will always come. Her eyes stung. She didn't know why. Maybe adrenaline. Maybe fear. Maybe the way his hands trembled as he cupped her face again. You scared me, he whispered. I thought, Naomi, I thought I'd be too late. And suddenly the truth spilled out before she could stop it. I thought I'd never see you again. His breath hitched. Something cracked open in him. Without meaning to, without thinking, without planning, she sank into him. Her fingers curled into his coat. His arms wrapped around her like they'd been waiting 10 years to do it. Her cheek pressed against his chest, feeling the frantic rhythm beneath. You're shaking, she murmured. So are you, he whispered. They held each other for a long time. Longer than the danger lasted. Longer than the silence. When he finally pulled back, his eyes were burning. Naomi, he said, I can't do this halfway. I can't stand across a room and pretend you're not the only thing I look for. Her heart thudded. I told you I don't know how to be gentle, he continued, voice wavering. But I know how to protect. I know how to be loyal. I know how to choose. And I choose you. Her lips parted. Jun-ho, even if you don't want me, he whispered, I need you safe. I need you breathing. I need you alive. Because the night I died, I know, she said softly. You saw me. He nodded. That moment ruined me. Her voice was barely a breath. Then let it ruin both of us. His eyes widened. Slowly, carefully, he reached for her hand. Naomi, do you want me? She exhaled shakily. I don't know what this is, she whispered, but I know it scares me, and I know I can't walk away anymore. Something in him broke. A breath, a restraint, a wall, his forehead pressed to hers. Then I'm yours, he whispered. Everything changed after that night. He cleaned up the mess quickly, quietly, handled the rival faction like swatting flies. But he knew something deeper. As long as I stay in this world, he told Minho, Naomi will always be a target. So what are you going to do? Minho asked. Jun-ho looked out the window, at the diner across the street, at the soft glow inside.